This is another cool Golden Age comic book. Romance, True Love Pictorial number 2. Let's see this note here, write to a GI list in this issue. They give us some addresses to write to soldiers. This is a 1953 comic book. Angel Chimes. Ad. Grant City versus Elaine Trent. This story here, this girl works as a waitress in this fancy hotel. Meets this doctor who's on vacation. Start having a little romance here. Going out and spending time together. She tells him she'll probably never see him again, so they shouldn't get that serious. But when he's leaving, going on a train, she starts crying. He comes running back, asks her to marry him. So they get married, move to this town where he lives at, small town. And then she finds out everybody's kind of snubbing them because he was supposed to marry some other girl whose father was rich and donated the money for the city to have a hospital so he could have a career as a doctor. Got some decent artwork in here, actually. I like the artwork. They get snubbed everywhere they go, and so she decides to run away because she just feels bad because she feels like she ruined his career as a doctor. So she's driving away. She realizes that it was a big heavy rainstorm, the levee broke. So she comes back to warn him and warn everybody in town about the levee breaking. So she helps him out since he's a doctor to save everybody, give aid. She tries to leave again afterwards, but she winds up telling him why she was leaving. Then he gets up in front of the town and tells everybody what assholes they've been. Then the girl he was supposed to marry comes out and tells, we were never that serious to begin with, I'm sorry. So all is forgiven, and they live happily ever after. And here's an ad for a new figure mold hide-a-waist. In the next story, when dreams come true, this girl here has got some kind of necklace that her family's been handing down. It's supposed to be rumored that the first man you meet while wearing this necklace you'll fall in love with. She moves to this small town and buys a ranch because she inherited some money. She meets this guy. She thinks he's a real jerk because he's like trying to make fun of her, saying she's a stupid city girl. He sold the ranch to her only because he needed the money. He didn't really want to. She sees a bunch of holes on the property. He claims it's giant squirrels. He's kind of a jerk. He kisses her, and then she like slaps him and tells him to get the hell off of her property. Oh, there's an ad for Slinky. There's Slinky Man. Her name is Slinky. That's interesting. But anyway, she thinks the necklace is cursed or wrong because she doesn't want to marry this guy. She sees him, he gives her a ride into town. Everybody in town knows about her. And she tells a story about he's looking for a buried treasure. That's why he went broke digging holes. She buys a car in town. This guy's digging for some kind of supposed buried treasure that was buried on this property during the Spanish Civil War. Got a map here. And she starts falling in love with the guy even though he's an idiot. And then she says he's kind of irresponsible. She's trying to fix up the house, and all he wants to do is search for buried treasure. But they're like in love now. He thinks he found the treasure. He's all excited, but it's just a rock. So he keeps on looking for his buried treasure. She decides to bury some kind of jewelry that she brought with her in a little chest to like make him feel good. But he remembers the jewelry because she was wearing it when she first came into town, so he gets pissed off. Runs away. Then a black cloud comes along. It's a twister. She gets scared, so she runs inside. Then he's all excited because the twister revealed the wheat, which he calls the real treasure. So he wants to get married to her and start a wheat farm, and they live happily ever after. Okay, that one was kind of corny. No greater love. Okay, this story here, this woman's a waitress, and her husband's a bum. He doesn't work. She's pregnant, she found out also in the story. And he reveals he wants to marry some rich widow, divorce her and get married to some rich widow so they can get all of her money. She like throws him out because he's an idiot and demands a divorce. So he leaves. She cries herself to sleep here. And she tells the old Italian couple that she works for. And she reveals that she's going to give the baby up for adoption. She's supposed to have his signature on the paperwork to give up the baby for adoption, but she lies and says she doesn't know where he is. So she sneaks back one day a few months later and gets the address and spies on her kid, which she gave up for adoption. She sees him here, and she meets this guy. He's the uncle to the adopted baby, this guy she meets. And then he mentions that the baby's father is a lawyer and wants the kid to go to law school when he grows up. So she starts dating this guy and starts liking him. Then her asshole husband shows up. He found out about the baby and wants to talk to her after work. And he reveals, at first he tries to lie and claims he's back in love with her again, wants to get back together with the baby. And she's like, I need to think this over. And she's still dating the other guy. And then she's like, I'm not good enough for you, we need to break up. Then when she's walking home, she sees her husband in a fancy convertible with some other girl. And she's like, where'd you get the money for that? And he reveals he's still his old asshole self because he's blackmailing the family because the baby was not adopted legally or something like that because he didn't sign his name on it, which doesn't really make a lot of sense. But so they reveal they're going to sue her ex-husband and because they've been recording the blackmail conversations because they're lawyers, they know the law. And finally, at the end, it has a happy ending. The baby's uncle, adopted uncle, whatever, wants to marry her, and they're going to raise her baby with this new guy. Live happily ever after. The end. And this little story here, Girl of Deceit. This girl is working at a fancy country club, meets some guy there. He thinks she belongs to the country club. She doesn't tell him that. They start dating. And somebody reveals to him she didn't belong to this country club. She's just a kitchen help. And so she starts crying and runs off. But then he's like, I don't give a shit. Let's get married. End of story. They have a lot of stories like that in her draw instantly where it's usually some poor girl who meets some rich Prince Charming and they wind up getting married. Well, here's the, you can't really read these, but they gave out addresses to servicemen who wanted young girls to write to them because they're overseas and stuff. So that's kind of cool. This is a 1953. There's a ad for Write Thrilling Love Letters. Point pins. In this last story, the one flaw in our romance, this woman, they always seem to have a lot of stories with women who are waitresses. I guess in the 1950s, women didn't have as many jobs like they have now. But anyway, she meets this guy, they start going out. Then he has to duck away, he sees a police officer. He tells her he doesn't like cops, so that's kind of suspicious. Then they fall in love and decide to get married. And then he reveals he got laid off at work. And she's like, I can help you get a job. He's like, I don't want any charity. And then her father, she works at the cafe her father owns, so he hooks him up with a job there. He's kind of rude to the customers. He's uncomfortable. Then this creepy guy shows up. And she's like, who's that guy? It's like, none of your business. She spies on them, and gets revealed to her that her husband used to be a crook, and this guy's a fellow crook, and he wants to rob the diner, and her future husband agrees, so she's freaking out. She goes to the police. They wait for them, which is stupid. Why would the police bring an innocent girl along which might get killed in an attempted robbery? But it's a comic book. So the guy takes the gun. Her husband takes away the gun away from the guy and threatens him. And I'm gonna turn you in. Your fingerprints all over the cash register. So the cops come out, and she feels like shit because she's the one who turned him in. And he's like, "That's okay." When he visits her and she visits him in jail. I should have told you the truth from the get-go. The guy that was doing the robbery gets sentenced to 5 years in prison. He gets sentenced to 8 months, and he'll be out in 5 with good behavior. So she says she'll wait for him when he gets out, because he's basically a decent person, but he made a mistake in the past. He wasn't supposed to be working at a diner, is why he got in trouble due to his parole. And then at the end of the story, these guys are asking around on a date. And she's like, sorry, I'm waiting for someone special. So that's the end of that story. Then they have an ad for toys in the back. Or junk you can buy through comic books. Draw instantly. Then they have an ad for a magic Dutch rock garden, grows in 4 days in the back page. And let's see. That's it. True Love Pictorial. These are actually kind of fun to read. They give you an idea of what relationships were like back in the 50s, or the fantasies were anyway. Peace.